Hey there, folks. It's me, Hercules, the guy with muscles as big as his heart and a brain the size of a peanut. You know, being a hero in Greek mythology is no cakewalk. Let me tell you about some of my misadventures. So, first off, there was that time I had to clean the Augean stables. You know, those massive, disgusting stables that hadn't been cleaned in centuries. Yeah, well, I had this brilliant idea to rear out 2 rivers to wash out all that stuff. Easiest way, right? Except no one told me that would flood the entire neighborhood. Oops! And then there's the story of the Nemean lion. It had this impenetrable golden fur, you see. So, what did I do? I strangled it with my bare hands. And then, I spent hours trying to figure out how to skin it. Talk about a hairy situation. But my favorite misadventure has to be when I took a nap on a beach and woke up with my head stuck in a crab's claw. I mean, who does that? And don't get me started on my love life. I fell in love with a beautiful princess named Megara, but she turned out to be, how shall I put it? A real hero to deal with. I mean, I went through all these crazy trials and tribulations to win her heart, but it turns out, all I needed to do was listen to her more. Who knew? And speaking of listening, have you seen me lately? Yeah, that's right, this guy. Hercules, the guy with muscles, or at least, he used to be. Now I'm more like Hercules, the guy with moose-less hair. Seriously, folks, I'm so skinny now. I can't even flex my muscles. If I tried, I'd probably break my arm. But hey, you know what they say, when life hands you lemons, make lemonade, right? Well, I say, when life hands you a skinny hero, just hope he's still got a big heart. Thank you. You've been a great audience. And remember, if you ever need a hero, just call me. I'll be the one trying to fit into my old Hercules costume.
Good evening, folks. Or should I say, stone cold evening? It's me, Medusa, the girl who can't catch a break in the dating department. You know, being a Gorgon, they say I've got a face only a mother could love. But let me tell you, even she turned to stone when she saw me in the morning. Dating in Greek mythology is already tough, but try being a single Gorgon. It's a real eye-opener, let me tell you. So, I had this one blind date, right? I thought, perfect. Blind dates are my specialty. But, nope, the guy shows up with a mirror, just to be on the safe side. And then there's the whole snakes for hair thing. I mean, sure, it's convenient when I want to braid my hair, but try getting a decent haircut. The barber. Well, let's just say he's not the sharpest pair of scissors in the shop. And speaking of bad hair days, ever tried washing snakes? Yeah, you can forget about that salon treatment. It's more like a wild wrestling match in the shower. Now, let's talk fashion. I love accessories, but it's hard to find a necklace that doesn't end up looking like a snake buffet. And you know, I've got a pretty killer gaze. One look, and you're history. But when I try to get someone's attention, it's like they're all suddenly stone deaf. It's like, hello, anyone here? Oh, right. They rocks now. But, you know what they say, when life gives you snakes for hair, make Medusades. I've decided to embrace my uniqueness. I've even started a YouTube channel called Medusa's Hair Care Tips. Spoiler alert, it's all about how to turn your hair into stone cold perfection. Thank you. You've been an electrifying audience, but don't worry, no one's turning into statues tonight. Remember, even if you curse with a few snakes, you can always make them dance.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me tonight. I've got a special treat for you all. We're going to explore the mystical world of Zen, and what better way to do it than with a Zen master telling a Zen story? So, sit back, relax, and prepare to be enlightened, or at least amused. Ah, my dear friends, let me share with you a tale of wisdom from the depths of Zen. Picture a serene temple on a quiet mountain, where the birds chirp, and the monks meditate. In this temple lived a young monk, eager to learn the ways of Zen from his master. One day, the young monk approached his master, filled with curiosity. He asked, "Master, what is the secret to finding inner peace and enlightenment? Tell me, O wise one, how can I attain the ultimate state of Zen?" The Zen master looked at the young monk and said, "My child, to find inner peace, you must first learn to let go of your attachments." The young monk nodded, but he was still puzzled. He said, "But master, what should I let go of? My possessions? My desires? My Netflix subscription?" The Zen master smiled gently and replied, "No, my child, you must let go of your attachments to the idea of letting go. You see, the more you strive to let go, the more attached you become to the idea of detachment. True Zen is not about chasing enlightenment. It's about being here, in this moment." The young monk scratched his head, utterly baffled. He said, "So, if I stop trying to be enlightened, I'll become enlightened?" The Zen master chuckled and replied, "Ah, my child, you're catching on. But remember, enlightenment is not a destination. It's a journey. Embrace the journey, and you'll find what you seek." And so, my dear audience, the young monk learned the art of Zen, which is, essentially, to stop trying so hard and just be. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to stop trying so hard to be funny and just enjoy the laughter you've brought to this room. Thank you, and may your path to enlightenment be filled with laughter and joy.
Comedy night with no war.
Ladies and gentlemen, how's everyone doing tonight? Great to see you all here. So, I've been doing some reading lately, trying to become a more sophisticated individual, you know? And I stumbled upon this ancient Chinese philosopher, Sun Tzu. Yeah, you heard me right, Sun Tzu. Now, Sun Tzu is famous for his book, The Art of War. I gotta say, it's a bit strange reading a book about war tactics when you're in your pajamas and sipping on a cup of herbal tea. But hey, it's all about self-improvement, right? Sun Tzu had some fascinating ideas. He said, all warfare is based on deception. I mean, I get it. If you want to win a war, you gotta be sneaky, right? But here's the thing, I can't help but think how that could be applied to everyday life. Imagine trying to win arguments with your friends or coworkers by using Sun Tzu's tactics. You'd be like, I'm gonna pretend I don't know anything about the topic, then bam. Drop some knowledge bombs on them. It'd be like intellectual judo. And then there's this gem from Sun Tzu, the supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting. That's some Jedi-level wisdom right there. Imagine your boss is about to give you a hard time, and you're just like, I'll just make them a nice cup of coffee and slip in a compliment about their tie. Problem solved. But you see, as I was reading about Sun Tzu's strategies, it struck me how his wisdom could be applied to avoid wars in the first place. Why not take these ancient principles and use them to prevent conflicts on a global scale? We live in a world where tensions can run high, and the consequences of war are devastating. Sun Tzu also said, opportunities multiply as they are seized. So, let's seize the opportunity to say no to war. Let's use our intellect, diplomacy, and cunning to find peaceful solutions to conflicts. Imagine world leaders sitting down with a pot of tea, discussing international disputes, and applying Sun Tzu's wisdom. Instead of sending armies, they'd be sending gifts and compliments. Hey, Vladimir, nice jacket. By the way, about that border dispute. In conclusion, folks, let's remember that we have the power to avoid war, just like Sun Tzu taught us to subdue the enemy without fighting. So, the next time you encounter a conflict, try a little intellectual judo, make some coffee, and let's all say no to war. Because in the end, peace is the ultimate art we should all master. Thank you. And good night.
Comedy night with Macbeth.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's great to see so many faces in the audience tonight. Well, most of you anyway. I've heard rumors about a few ghosts in the crowd. You know, being a king can be tough. People expect you to be all regal and composed, but let me tell you, it's not all it's cracked up to be. I mean, have you ever tried to sleep after you've murdered a few people? It's impossible. And don't get me started on Lady Macbeth. She's the real expert when it comes to sleepless nights. Speaking of Lady Macbeth, she's got quite the knack for persuasion. 1 minute, she's convincing me to murder my best friend, and the next, she's washing her hands incessantly. I tell her, honey, we can't wash away the guilt that easily. We need to get some hand sanitizer. And what's the deal with witches? I meet these 3 weird sisters in the middle of nowhere, and suddenly, I'm on a murder spree. If I had a dime for every time they told me I'd be king, I'd have enough to buy a decent castle without all the bloodstains. You know, being a tragic hero is exhausting. You're fighting battles, dealing with witches, and trying to hold on to your sanity. But the worst part? The prophecies. They're like the original clickbait. Macbeth, you'll be king. Yeah, right. More like Macbeth, you will be dead and your wife will go crazy. And let's not forget about that dagger hallucination. I'm standing there, contemplating murder, and suddenly, there's a floating dagger in front of me. I can't even get a hallucination that makes sense. I should have known then that this whole king thing was going to be a mess. But, hey, at least I learned a valuable lesson. Don't trust witches, don't kill your friends, and always check for floating daggers before you make any major life decisions. Thank you. You've been a great audience tonight. And remember, if you ever find yourself talking to strange women in the middle of the woods, just walk away. Trust me, it'll save you a lot of trouble.
Lady Macbeth Comedy Roast. Good evening, my dear audience. It's a pleasure to be here tonight. You know, people always say, Lady Macbeth, you've got a reputation. And let me tell you, it's not easy being the Queen of Scottish Darkness. I mean, first of all, people seem to think I'm just this power-hungry, ruthless woman who stops at nothing to achieve my goals. But come on, who among us hasn't had a bad day and thought about persuading their spouse to commit a little regicide? It's like, honey, I've got this great idea for a home improvement project. It involves a dagger, the king's chamber, and, well, you'll figure it out. And let's talk about that whole damn spot thing. I'll admit, I might have had a slight obsession with hand washing. But in my defense, those medieval times were pretty unsanitary. I was just ahead of my time, setting hygiene standards. I should have been the queen of Clorox. You know, being married to Macbeth had its challenges. He was a great guy until he started hearing prophecies from some weird witches. Suddenly, he's got this grand idea of becoming king. And I'm left thinking, here we go again, men and their midlife crises. I mean, seriously, Macbeth, couldn't you have just bought a sports carriage like everyone else? Now, that sleepwalking scene of mine, it's become quite the meme in the Shakespearean world, hasn't it? Wandering around in my nightgown, muttering about blood and murder, it's like I was auditioning for a role in a horror movie. But hey, we all have our moments of vulnerability. Even ruthless queens need a spa day sometimes. Lastly, let's not forget about my marriage advice. Sure, it's not your typical relationship wisdom, but it was the 11th century. We didn't have Dr. Phil back then. I was just ahead of the game, suggesting a little murder to spice up a marriage. Honey, let's kill a king together and reign as a power couple. It's the ultimate trust exercise. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, don't judge a lady by her regicidal tendencies. We all have our quirks. And if you ever need relationship advice, just remember my motto, a little murder can go a long way. Or not. Thank you, and good night. Comedy Night with Duncan.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. It's great to be here tonight. You know, being the King of Scotland can be a tough job, but it does come with its perks. For one, I never have to worry about my Wi-Fi going down. If it does, I just shout, "Bring me the royal Wi-Fi technician." So, I've been doing this whole king thing for a while now, and let me tell you, ruling a kingdom is a lot like raising teenagers. They're always plotting, there are secret meetings in the woods, and don't get me started on the dagger collection. I thought I had a lot of daggers until I met Macbeth. Speaking of Macbeth, he's a real piece of work, isn't he? I mean, the guy's ambition is so out of control. He makes Kanye West look humble. And you know you're in trouble when your wife starts giving you advice like, just kill the king, honey, it'll be fine. But seriously, Macbeth and I go way back. We were like brothers, or at least I thought we were until he decided to stab me in the back. Literally. Yeah, it turns out that loyalty is like a Snapchat streak. It disappears real quick. Now, let's talk about those witches. I mean, who goes to witches for life advice? I tried it once, and all they gave me was a prophecy about my death. It's like going to a psychic and asking for the winning lottery numbers, and they're like, you're gonna get hit by a bus. But hey, I've learned a thing or two from my time as king. Like, always double check your food tasters. And if you see your wife sleepwalking, don't interrupt her. Trust me on that one. In all seriousness, folks, it's been the wild ride being king, and I've seen some crazy stuff. But you know what they say, uneasy lies the head that wears a crown. And let me tell you, it's not just the crown that's uneasy. It's the entire kingdom. So, before I go, I just want to say thanks for having me here tonight. And to Macbeth, if you're out there listening, I hope you're enjoying your time on the throne, because let me tell you, it's a real killer job. Good night.
Say no to war. You know, folks, I've been thinking a lot about the Iraq War lately. Yeah, that Iraq War. The one with weapons of mass destruction that went missing, like my keys every Monday morning. So, the US government told us there were WMDs in Iraq, right? Chemical weapons, biological weapons, and maybe even nuclear weapons. I mean, they had quite the shopping list. It's like they thought Saddam Hussein was running the world's scariest Costco. Welcome to Saddam's superstore, where the prices are low and the dictator is grumpy. But then, oops. Turns out they couldn't find those WMDs. It's like searching for your lost sock in the laundry, and all you find is a conspiracy theory. And they said Saddam was connected to Al-Qaeda, right? I can't help but picture Saddam sitting in his palace, giving a PowerPoint presentation to a bunch of terrorists. Welcome to the annual Evil Dictators and Terrorists Convention. Today's agenda: how to look menacing in uniform and bake the perfect explosive apple pie. And of course, we went in to promote democracy and human rights. Because nothing says let's spread freedom like a tank rolling down your street. Hey, neighbor, you got some democracy on your lawn. Before we wrap up, let's remember that the lessons of history are our guides to a more peaceful world. While we've found humor in the quirks of the past, it's crucial to acknowledge the very real and devastating impact the Iraq War had on the people, infrastructure, and economy of Iraq. Countless lives were lost, families torn apart, and communities shattered. Cities and towns bore the scars of conflict, and the economy suffered immensely. The price of war is measured not only in dollars, but in the immeasurable cost to human lives and well-being. Let's use the Iraq War as a reminder of the importance of dialogue, diplomacy, and understanding in resolving conflicts. Let's work together to ensure that history does not repeat itself and that future generations can enjoy a world free from the devastation of war. Thank you for sharing this moment of reflection and laughter with me, and may peace always prevail. Hey, everybody. How's it going tonight? Woo. I'm feeling so good tonight. I got a one-way ticket to Laughter Town. But before we dive into the comedy, can we talk about this song? One-way ticket, oh yeah. You know, I've always wondered, where is this one-way ticket taking us, huh? Is it to a place without bad jokes? Because if that's the case, sign me up for two. But seriously, who knew that a song about a one-way ticket could be so catchy? I mean, think about it, if you're having a bad day, just put this song on, and suddenly you're dancing like nobody's watching in your living room. Or at least until your cat starts judging you from the couch? And have you noticed how everybody thinks they're a pro dancer when this song comes on? I mean, it's like an automatic hip-shaking machine. You could be at a wedding, a family reunion, or even in the middle of a supermarket, doesn't matter. As soon as that one-way ticket intro kicks in, you've transformed into a dance legend. But you know what's tricky? Trying to sing along to this song. I mean, it's got some high notes. You start belting out those lyrics, and suddenly, you sound like a strangled cat trying to hit Mariah Carey's high notes. You're like, I've got only way to I can't. Yeah, I need a one-way ticket to singing lessons after that. And let's not even get started on trying to explain this song to the younger generation. You know, you try to tell them about one-way ticket, and they're like, is that some new travel app? No, kid, it's not an app. It's a way of life. It's a funky, disco-infused, time-traveling journey back to the single-quote 70s. So next time you hear one-way ticket come on the radio, don't fight it. Embrace the groovy vibes, dance like no one's watching, and remember, it's not just a song. It's a lifestyle choice. Now, who's with me? Let's all get that one-way ticket to Funky Town.
Ladies and gentlemen, have you heard about Proposition 47? Yeah, it's that thing that says if you're caught shoplifting under $950 worth of stuff, it's just a misdemeanor. They're making it sound like shoplifting is some kind of casual weekend activity. Hey, let's go grab some coffee, steal a few things, you know, the usual. But here's the thing, they say it's gonna promote more shoplifting. I mean, come on. If you're standing outside a store with your buddies, and one of them says, hey, let's go steal something, and you're like, nah, it's not worth it. It's only $800 worth of stuff in there. You might want to reevaluate your life choices. And let's talk about the businesses, shall we? The poor store owners are freaking out. They're installing extra security cameras, hiring security guards, and some even have bouncers at the entrance. I mean, you'd think they're running nightclubs, not convenience stores. Sorry, sir, you can't come in unless you're on the list, or you've stolen at least $950 worth of merchandise. But the real kicker is that some businesses are just saying, you know what? We're out of here. They're closing down or leaving the city altogether. I mean, can you blame them? It's like playing a never-ending game of hide and seek with professional shoplifters. But you know what this means for us, right? Inconvenience. Imagine needing a quick snack, and the closest store is like 3 towns over because all the nearby ones went bankrupt. You'll be driving for hours just to get a bag of chips and a soda. And hey, maybe this is all part of a master plan to promote online shopping. Can't shoplift if it's delivered to your door, right? Soon, we'll all be getting packages every day, and our mail carriers will be like, man, these folks really love their toilet paper. So, in conclusion, Proposition 47 is turning our city into a real-life comedy show. Who needs Netflix when you can watch the great shoplifting debacle unfold right in front of your eyes? Just remember, folks, if you're gonna steal something, make sure it's worth at least $950. Comedy is all about setting high standards. Thank you, and good night. The great political comedy debate, Democracy versus Communism. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to tonight's comedy debate, where we'll explore the age-old question, democracy versus communism. Let's meet our debaters. On the left, we have Dave, the defender of democracy, and on the right, Carl, the communist crusader. Each will present their arguments with humor, wit, and, of course, a dose of satire. Dave, you may begin. Thank you, Macbeth. Well, folks, democracy is like that unpredictable game show where every 4 years, we spin the wheel, and whatever lands on it determines our leader. It's like playing spin the bottle with the fate of the nation, but at least it's consensual. Good one, Dave. But with communism, it's like a never-ending family potluck. Everyone brings something to the table, and we all share the dishes. Sure, you might not get the best steak, but at least nobody's stuck with a salad. Oh, Carl, you communists are all about sharing, but let's be real. In democracy, you can vote for the lesser evil. It's like choosing between pineapple pizza and anchovy pizza. At least you get to choose. In communism, it's all anchovy pizza, all the time. But Dave, in communism, we're all equal. It's like a sitcom where everyone's a cast member, no matter how annoying they are. In democracy, it's more like a reality TV show where the contestants are constantly trying to outdo each other with drama and scandals. Fair point, Carl. But what about individual freedoms? In democracy, we have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. In communism, it's more like you have the right to a comfy bed, unless your neighbor needs it. Well, Dave, in communism, we have no billionaires. It's like playing Monopoly without the one person who always hogs the boardwalk in Park Place. Everyone gets a chance at the good properties. True, Carl, but in democracy, we have freedom of the press. It's like having a constant stream of comedians writing the news. In communism, it's more like a state-approved script, and humor is forbidden. Time's up, gentlemen. Great job. Now, it's time for our closing statements. Dave, you first. Ladies and gentlemen, democracy might be messy, but it's like a buffet where you can choose what you want to eat. In communism, you get whatever the chef decides to serve, and there's no dessert. So, let's stick with democracy and keep the humor flowing. Democracy has its charms, but in communism, we're all in it together, sharing the good and the bad. It's like a big, dysfunctional family, and that's what makes it beautiful. So, comrades, let's unite for communism and embrace the chaos. What a fantastic debate. Both of you had us in stitches. Remember, folks, this was all in good humor. Now, it's your turn to decide who won this hilarious political showdown. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Romeo's Comedy Confessions.
Thank you, fair citizens of Verona. It's a pleasure to be here tonight. You know, they say tragedy and comedy are two sides of the same coin, and let me tell you, I've had my fair share of tragedy. But tonight, we're here to lighten the mood and share a few laughs. So, let's dive in. You know, Juliet and I, we were the original star-crossed lovers. We had this whirlwind romance, and it was all very romantic until the balcony scene. I climbed up, trying to impress her, you know, and I thought I was being all stealthy. But let's be honest, it's not easy to sneak into someone's garden when you're announcing your presence with soliloquies. And don't even get me started on the whole Romeo, wherefore art thou, Romeo? thing. I'm right here. Juliet. Just look down. But seriously, folks, let's talk about Mercutio for a moment. That guy, always the life of the party. He had a way with words, you know? He once told me that Queen Mab hath been with you. I thought he meant the Queen of England or something, but no, it was just a dream. And Tybalt, oh boy, Tybalt. That guy had a temper hotter than the Capulet sun. We got into that little brawl, and I thought it was just some friendly swordplay. But no, someone ended up getting stabbed. And it wasn't me for once. But you know, despite all the chaos and tragedy, there's one thing I've learned. Love. Love is a funny thing. It makes you do crazy stuff. It makes you climb balconies, duel in the streets, and drink questionable potions. But in the end, it's all worth it for that one perfect moment with the person you love. So, my friends, whether you're a Montague, a Capulet, or just an innocent bystander caught up in our drama, remember that even in the darkest of times, you can find humor and love. Thank you. And may your love stories be a little less tragic than mine. Good night, Verona.
Juliet's modern love woes. Hey there, everybody. So, I've got a bit of a dilemma, and I thought I'd share it with you all tonight. You see, I'm Juliet, from that famous Shakespeare play, Romeo and Juliet. Yeah, the one where the whole star-crossed lovers thing happens. Trust me, it's more complicated than it sounds. You know, when people hear my name, they automatically assume I've got it all figured out in the love department. But let me tell you, my love life is a bit dramatic. Aww. I mean, first of all, who meets their soulmate at a masquerade ball? That's like finding true love in a crowded subway car during rush hour, not exactly the ideal setting. And don't get me started on the whole family feud thing. My family, the Capulets, and Romeo's family, the Montagues, they were like the Monty Python of feuds. Always making a scene at the worst times. Oh, you can't be with Romeo, Juliet, he's a Montague. Well, let me tell you, family dinners were super awkward. Then there's the fact that we decided to get married after knowing each other for, what, a day? I mean, we must have been on some serious love potion or something. That's like swiping right on Tinder and then getting married in Vegas 5 minutes later. And let's talk about Friar Lawrence for a second. He's the guy who gave me that sleeping potion so I could fake my own death. Seriously, Friar, did you even go to medical school? I woke up in a tomb next to a dead guy. That's not exactly the romantic awakening I had in mind. But you know what? Despite all the craziness, I have to say, I wouldn't change a thing. Because when you're in love, even the most absurd situations seem totally worth it. So, here's to love, no matter how complicated or dramatic it may be. And remember, if you ever find yourself in a love story as crazy as mine, just take a step back, breathe, and maybe, just maybe, skip the whole faking your own death thing. It's not as fun as it sounds. Thank you, everyone. You've been a wonderful audience. And remember, love may be complicated, but it's always an adventure.
Big thanks to each and every one of you for tuning in. Your support means the world to us. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an update. Until next time.